It was a disappointing tie to the Army the other day. You know, they had the game won. Army scored late in the game, so it was a 2-2 draw. But you know what? You know, they're right there, and if they can play well today, it'll be a great thing moving forward.
You saw that 12 next to Florida State. It seems odd that Florida State has not lost a game. They're unbeaten in their last 15, yet they went #1 in the preseason ranking, down to 12 right now. What that means is probably nothing more than bulletin board material, but the defending national champs are here, and we appreciate you joining us here on ACC Network Extra. Lauren Flynn in the back along with Heather Gilchrist, a freshman from Boulder, Colorado. The back line is really where you saw the most turnover for Florida State coming off of last year's national championship. Seminoles are in the maroon kits today. Boston College in gold. Sophia Lowenberg plays it out to avoid the corner kick. Seminoles will restart quickly. There's Vivka Villebrandt getting the start in goal for BC today, her 26th career start for the sophomore from Germany. Seminoles coming in with good burst of speed. Here comes the cross. It goes in! Wow, what a shot! And FSU takes a 1-0 lead just over a minute in. That was Oni Echengini with a perfect strike to make it 1-0 Seminoles.
And you saw Florida State come down and put the pressure on early. You see she gets to the end line there, which is always dangerous. Takes a quick turn. Looks like it's going to be a cross, but it's in the upper right-hand corner. Beautiful shot.
I mean, you can't do it better than that. You could stand out there for an hour. You can't do it better than that.
Yeah, and that's hard to defend, too. You don't know if she's going to cross it. You got to mark your men in the box. I think BC was, a little bit surprised by that. It was a fantastic shot.
So, second-minute goal for Echengini, the senior from London, England. Really important get for Brian Penske, a transfer from Mississippi State. There's a save from Villebrandt as Florida State coming out guns blazing in the first few minutes here in Newton. That was Jody Brown, the junior from Jamaica, All-ACC third-team selection last year.
Putting the pressure on early. Nice give through pass there, shot, blocked, but the pressure's on. I mean, clearly Florida State wants to score early.
It was the third goal of the season for Echengini, again, coming over from Mississippi State, and that's where, okay, FSU did lose 13 players from last year, but Brian Penske really filled out this roster extremely well. Echengini coming over from Mississippi State was a really key contributor up front. Third goal of the season for a Seminoles team that has a lot of different scorers. They are not just relying on one or two players.
Right, and we mentioned that in the pregame too. I mean, a number of different scorers. BC needs to be aware of that. You can't just focus on one or two players. Florida State is very deep. They're going to spread the ball, they're going to attack, and you just don't know who's going to take a shot.
Take me through the Boston College side of this right now. Again, we've talked about how this was a game that circled on the calendar, starting ACC play Friday afternoon. #1 preseason team in the country, defending national champs in. There's so much hype for it, and all of a sudden, 1 minute and 4 seconds in, and boom, you're down. How do you take a deep breath and adjust?
Well, that's the problem, is they probably didn't take a deep breath soon enough. They should have been doing that, before the game, and maybe they were, but, you get intimidated by the national champions when they come in on your field, and from the get-go, you have to step it up. You have to step it up from the very first minute of play. I don't know what's going on. They need to settle down a bit, though, take a deep breath, like you said, and just move the ball around. The ball will do the work.
It's that line where you still have so much game left, and it's just whatever, an elite level play to make Florida State out to a 1-0 lead. It's a reason why they've been such a successful program through the years. And here is Heather Payne, member of the Ireland national team, along with Ava Omani, who watches that ball go out. Vivka Villebrandt will be back in for a goal kick here for Boston College. Here is the Irish national team. You see Ava Omani of Boston College on the left side of your screen, Heather Payne on the right side, the senior. Represented Ireland in the 23 FIFA Women's World Cup qualifiers earlier this month against Finland and Slovakia. Here is Sam Smith on that left side for BC. Laura Govin, couple of assists in her last few games. Passes a touch wide for Sapienza. That'll be a throw-in for Ran Iwai, the junior from Japan. Iwai is one of a few players on this Florida State team that was a key contributor last year off the bench. Started 1 or 2 games, though one of her starts came in the College Cup semifinal against Rutgers, and now steps into a bigger role starting every game for the Seminoles. Here is Heather Payne. Sam Smith closest to her. Back from Jody Brown. So it'll be interesting to see Payne and Omani, the Irish teammates, will be going one-on-one against each other. Brown got it over, then it goes Plinko in the box off of Beate Olsen, the junior from Sweden, but not on goal.
BC needs to tighten it up a little bit in the box. There's a miscue right there. You know, if you get a shot off in the box, it's trouble. But BC needs to tighten up a little bit. Not necessarily man-to-man marking, but they need to step it up just a little bit to avoid the easy touch for Florida State.
There's Michaela Agresti, the steady center back for Boston College in her senior season, wearing the captain's armband. 59th start today for Michaela Agresti. Ball is out for a Florida State throw. Leilani Nesbitt will give way to Payne. So Seminoles 4-0-2 to start the season. Both ties came against ranked opponents, number 12 South Carolina 0-0, and number 16 Auburn 1-1. And of course that tie, a little bit different than in years past with the new NCAA rules for men's and women's soccer this year. No overtime, so those are now regulation ties in the regular season, a little bit different than years past. Gilchrist wide for EY. Florida State really does a nice job possessing the ball on the season. They are usually over 65% on their possession every single game. Season high 71% possession against South Carolina in the opener.
You can see the possession game working well for them so far. BC sitting back a little bit.
Niswanger plays it in. Got knocked off of Olsen. Kept alive still by Nesbitt. Eagles coming back. Sapienza's pass was a little bit too far up the left side, looking for Laura Govin. We mentioned the overtime rule, one of the big rule changes across college soccer this year. And it really is something that's going to have an impact, I think, especially in the season, especially how teams might play. Also some changes to the video review as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The no overtime rule is a huge change. And I know there were a lot of overtime games last year and years past that, there may be too many. Maybe that's why the NCAA was looking at that. But, it's definitely, I don't necessarily like it. I think it's a better game when you have a challenge to win a game in overtime, and it's more rewarding. But, it'll be interesting to see how it works this year. There'll be a lot more ties, obviously.
I know directors of operations like it because they can more securely schedule flights home,
right,
things
right.
like that. But
timing-wise, yes, absolutely.
So Seminoles right back on it. Jody Brown over the top, and Lowenberg does a nice job to cut underneath and steer that ball off to the side. It's the freshman Sophia Lowenberg from Trumbull, Connecticut, who scored her first goal off a header and a corner kick in the 29th minute against Army West Point. One of a number of first years playing significant minutes for Jason Lowenberg, who making her 4th start of the season, her first 9 games. EY all the way back to play it ahead of Ella Richards. Brown was offside. Take a look at the defense here for Boston College. Strong play there by Ava Omani. Turned over to the midfield. Nesbeth over top. Nice touch by Niswanger. But then the pass back was a touch behind. And Laura Govin comes in to play it for BC. You can see right here the pressure that Florida State puts on you. Pressing high, making life difficult. Here is Robbins. Plays it over to Brown. Job by Ava Omani to get in the way on the pass.
And that's going to be the key right there. They serve the ball long. I'm wondering if they'd be able to build it out from the back a little bit more. I know they're probably a little bit intimidated by this Florida State pressure, but I think it might make more sense to keep the ball on the ground, trying to build it out of the back.
It's what the press does, right? It's not just the literal difficulty of the defender right in front of you, but it makes you feel forced and rushed.
Exactly, yeah. And when there's pressure on you, your game is off a little bit. Your skill level changes.
Turned over to Brown, gets the pass across. Another chance, they score! Oni Echegini, her 2nd goal of the game, and the Seminoles are up 2-0.
There was just too much space there. BC was not defending as tight as they probably could be. See right here, they try to getting out. There's an intercepted pass, which is always dangerous, especially about 30 yards out. Quick touch in the box, and there you go. It's 2-0.
And what an impressive strike again by Echegini with her 4th goal now of the season. Came in last year, tied for 1st on Mississippi State's roster with 9 points. 50 shots though to get to 2 goals, and it felt like there was more in there if she could just find the back of the net. And floodgates certainly starting to open. Also spent time with the Nigerian national team. Played against the U.S. women's national team earlier in September. And a first half brace. And the first 12 minutes to give Florida State a 2-0 lead. Eagles coming back. Sam Smith has Ella Richards momentarily. Up for Sam Agresti. Comes across. Richards just missed.
Yeah,
Best foray forward, though, for the Eagles.
That's a nice effort. And sometimes something like this calms the team down a little bit. They obviously moved the ball up well just there. They knocked it around a bit nicely, got a nice shot off there by Richards. Sometimes, when you get a couple goals scored on you early in the game, everything kind of settles down. And to be honest, and believe it or not, a 2-0 lead is the worst lead you can have in the sport of soccer. Many people don't understand that, but maybe not against this Florida State team because they are so good, but it is a dangerous lead to have.
Every soccer coach I've ever talked to has said that. Ball is, once again, too far on the offside, so it'll come back the other way to Boston College. Gavilla-Brandt looking into the sun. First of 2 games today. Boston College men's team will be up later against the Louisville Cardinals. So 2 exciting ACC contests for you here on a Friday afternoon and evening on ACC Network Extra. Here is Echegini. Again, the London native spent time training with Arsenal in her youth career. Payne steps up, knocked out off of her Irish teammate Omani.
You can't afford to make mistakes, obviously. That goal, that second goal was a miscue. It was a giveaway, and you can't do that against top quality teams like that, or you're going to get punished.
It's both sides of the coin, right? When you have to take care of your opportunities, but if you give one to the opposition, when you're that top quality team, they take advantage. It feels like 99 times out of 100.
Absolutely, and that's why they're successful. They take advantage of those situations, and before you know it, it's 2-0.
Omani for Sam Smith. A little bit too strong on the touch. Here is Niswanger as the Seminoles again set up. Robbins wide. Echegini blew a tire and allows Sarai Costello to get to it for the Eagles. And again, the pressure here, it forces Sapienza farther back, and it forces Sam Smith farther back, and it makes that development that you talk about all the more difficult.
Well, that was a good example right there. Jody Brown got the ball near the sideline, but she didn't really have any support. She was just there all alone. She ended up giving up a throw-in to Florida State. But you need to, once you give the ball, you pass to your teammates, you need to support them. You need to anticipate those balls and those passes.
Here's Heather Payne. Got the pass in for Niswanger. Chips it on, and that is wide of the net. Good try from Florida State's leading point getter coming in today. She's now been matched by Echegini.
And there's a nice shot, almost in the back of the net. You cannot let players at the top of the box take those shots for Florida State. And by the way, I made an error. Emily Sapienza is what I meant to say on the sideline there, not Jody Brown for Florida State.
Niswanger, 14 points last year, was 5th on the Seminoles team. Now in a tie for first with Echegini, preseason All-ACC selection. Pass for Sapienza, touch too far, and it's out for a throw-in for EY. There is Niswanger. Been very good in her career against Boston College, 2 goals and 2 assists. Seminoles, who defeated the Eagles each of the last 2 times they played down in Tallahassee last year, 4-1. The year before that was a 5-4 back and forth game with a ton of fireworks. And again, as you mentioned, you go back to 2018, last time the Eagles made the NCAA tournament, and they knocked off the Seminoles with Jenna Bike scoring the late goal for BC in the 2-1 victory. Echegini, so skilled on the ball. One of those players you don't have to watch for very long. It takes about 10 seconds and you can see the skill.
No, she's a special player, absolutely.
Great play by Sam Smith on the takeaway, and the Eagles with the opportunity. Smith trying to get around. It's kind of 1-on-3 there, nowhere to go. And it ends up in on Christina Roque. First time we've gotten to call the name of the Florida State keeper, making her 5th start of the season. Has never lost a regulation match in her Florida State career. 29-0-8.
That is an incredible stat. You don't hear that very often.
Roque, who made 2 saves in the penalty kicks against BYU to help secure that national championship. Active NCAA leader in goals against average, 0.52 for the career for the junior. And she's one of 2 really outstanding keepers on this Florida State roster. Mia Justice, who started against BC last year. Both of them have been part of the USU 20 program throughout their careers. Lowenberg over to play it for Boston College, sends it out into the stands for a Seminoles throw-in from the 7th year, Clara Robbins.
7th year.
Does give way. You got a COVID year, a medical red shirt, and a red shirt as a freshman for Robbins. So a unique situation, but really so important for this Seminoles team. And we'll get back to that in a moment as we watch the Boston College development. Govin will go wide for Sapienza. The Rutgers transfer was in that game against Florida State in the College Cup last year. Knocked out off of Sapienza for a Florida State throw. Back to Robbins. She's important because obviously she's a key player, but she was really the most important piece that Brian Penske was able to bring back as someone, again, beyond their senior year, decided to come back. And you really need that buy-in from some of that veteran groups of a new coaching staff, especially in such an odd situation where you never have a new coach coming into a program this good and this steady, and you kind of just want to keep going with the ship. So having her back, I think, was really crucial to Florida State's chances going forward this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, mentally for the rest of the team, that says a lot. You know, she wanted to come back for that extra year, and you know that's happening a lot in college soccer. You know, a lot of players, obviously, and student athletes are getting that extra year because of the COVID rules, and kids are transferring, you know, to different schools and getting better opportunities. And yeah, it's a whole new world now because of COVID. But you know, like you said, yeah, when the team buys into that and you get a new coach that comes in, and you know that extra year makes a huge difference. And you know, obviously, defending national champs, you know, they're all buying into something.
It's a smaller Florida State roster this year. This is where they are represented, a bunch of international players, and but pretty evenly balanced upperclassmen and underclassmen. Boston College a little more heavily with some of those younger players as Jason Lowe. Again, it's year 4, but the COVID thing kind of brings some things into context. Villebrand, it hit off her hands, and it is going to be whistled against Florida State. That ball ended up in the back of the net, but the foul was called against the Seminoles, so no goal, and we play on.
Yeah, obviously a dangerous corner. Yeah, I mean, that 9 times out of 10, the referee's going to call that against the offense if there's a question on what happened there. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge relief for BC. But those are dangerous corners. You gotta catch those every time that comes in like that.
It was a really elite play by Beate Olsen to set up that corner kick. It was kind of 1-on-3, but just an elite move to get in position and end up getting the corner kick to set up that chance for Florida State. Eagles have pretty heavily out-cornered their opponents this year so far, 52-31 in terms of corner kicks. Seminoles average under 5 a game. The Eagles almost 7 corners per contest. Back in for Roque. That corner aside, it does feel like since the second goal, we've seen a little bit more possession for BC down their attacking end of the field as they start to try to change field a little bit and try to find the first goal of this game.
There's a little bit of a calmness factor once you realize, you know, okay, this is going to be a game, and you know, we can't do anything about what just happened. Let's settle down a bit, take a deep breath, like we mentioned earlier, and just, you know, let the ball do the work. Spread the ball out there, you know, keep it on the ground, move the field as much as you can, and then just take advantage of those opportunities, even though they're few and far between. You take advantage of those open spaces when Florida State gives them to you, especially in the offensive third.
Seminoles will start once again with possession. 23 minutes remaining. First half here from Newton, Massachusetts. ACC opener for each of these teams, Boston College and Florida State. Seminoles, the defending ACC tournament champs as well as national champs. And here is Niswanger. Pass was a touch high, well-controlled Olsen over for Echegini, moving in, looking for the handball, did not get it. And it's cleared out to the wide side.
Nice little combo between Olsen and Echegini there. Nice turn. We'll see if it's a handball. Unintentional, did hit her arm. Unintentional, ref's not going to call that.
Echegini again, though, with a pretty impressive play, and she continues to stand out. First year with the Seminoles, coming over from Mississippi State. Robbins over for Payne. Quick pass, Brown. Payne's got it back. Cross comes through. Lowenberg was there defensively. It is a corner for the Seminoles. But Lowenberg prevents the clean look on goal. If you're just joining us, here's what we've seen so far. It's been the Echegini show. That was just a minute in. Gave the Seminoles a 1-0 lead, and then this was the second one. Really two elite strikes so far.
Echegini, clearly a dangerous player. They need to keep an eye on her for the remaining of the game, obviously. And they need to, BC needs to be careful about giving up these set pieces. There's been a lot of corners so far. They almost scored on one of those corners, and there's a foul called. So it was called back, but these set pieces are very dangerous.
Nice Swangert brings it in with the left foot. Another one coming here. Couple of subs for Florida State. Maria Alagoa, the sophomore from Portugal, comes in for Clara Robbins, and Olivia Garcia coming in for Beate Olsen. This one deeper. Header got down. It was blocked. Believe that was Costello got a piece of it for the Eagles. Sent back in. Echegini trying to go to work. Thrown on. And there is the 6-foot frame of Villabrandt coming up big for Boston College.
Pays to have a tall goalkeeper. Gets up there, puts it over the crossbar. Fantastic save.
Really does a nice job using that bar to help. Florida State, though, will have a third corner here in short order. Nice Swanger again. Villabrandt that time got it clean. It'll come all the way out for Heather Payne. Brown back over for Payne. Gonna send one in again, and Michaela Agresti steps up. Plays it out for Sam Smith. Brown went down on the play. I'm not sure there was contact there, which can sometimes be the scarier situation. Brown may have just gotten the foot caught.
Yeah, she's claiming she got hit in the neck, it looks like. And it could have been an inadvertent hit, by Sam Smith. But it certainly wasn't anything intentional.
So Jody Brown coming over the sideline. Yeah, right there.
Unintentional, just trying to catch her balance. Swung her arm, caught her in the neck. Part of the game.
Looks like Brown is going to be able to stay in the game for Florida State. Remember, different rules at the college level than in the pros. If you come out during the first half, obviously not in an injury situation, if you come out during the first half, you can't come back until the second, but then free subbing in the second half. Richards gives it right back for Smith, just a touch too far. Feels like those developments are starting to see where they can come for Boston College. They've just been a hair off in the first 25 minutes or so.
Right, and I think Boston College players need to move to the space a bit more. They've somewhat been standing around just waiting and to react to whatever Florida State does. They need to take it upon themselves to move to space and get open and move the ball forward.
Couple of subs for BC. Riley Kerber, who's been really impressive as a freshman, coming in. Andy Barth and Sydney Segala, all in the game for Boston College. Richards, Sapienza, and Sonia Walk come out for the Eagles.
Man, that's great defending right there. Nesbeth right on top of her.
Look at the speed of Brown. Gonna play it wide for Olivia Garcia. Does track it down before it got over the line. And a nice job by Andy Barth forcing that ball out.
So it's always tough when it's on the end line like that, but good defending, ends up with a goal kick. It's when you have players down and that deep in the end, you really just need to close in quickly, and it worked that time.
There's certain things when you see a team of this caliber, and Sydney Segala onto the pitch right now, one of the fastest players on the Eagles, but you can prepare as much as you want, but there's a speed factor with a team like Florida State that really just jumps on you, especially the way they press, that is an adjustment early on in the game, no matter how much you know it's coming.
Well, every single player on the field is very athletic, and they're gonna press as much as they can and put the pressure on whoever they're playing against. Because not only that, but mentally they have the confidence. They know they're one of the best teams in the country, so they're going to move forward and press whoever they're playing against. And as a result, it's 2-0 early in the game. So you have to accept that. If you're Boston College, you have to kind of try to figure out ways to get around that, move the ball forward, move to space, and just make sure your passes are on target.
Flynn played forward. Lowenberg tried to force it along. Here's Heather Payne again. Kerber helped force her off to the near side. Another sub coming in here for Florida State. Emma Bissell, the sophomore from Chester, England, will come into the game. Seminoles throw in from the near side. 2-0 lead for Florida State. Both goals by Oni Echegini. First one 64 seconds in. The next one right at the 11th minute mark. And the Seminoles trying to remain 16 consecutive games unbeaten. This would push the streak to, should they find a victory or at minimum a tie today. Another sub about to come in for Florida State. Sophia Wynn, the first year from Pensacola, Florida, will come into the game, replacing EY.
Laura Govin looking for some assistance here.
Laura Govin on the Boston College side. Looks like she's going to be subbed out clean. Jessica Carlton, the sophomore, coming in. Govin having that knee taped up. Every coach does it a little bit differently, wins the moment to start to pull some of those starters and get a breather in the first half.
Yeah, it's usually right around this time. 15 minutes left in the half. You want to give them a break, so then they'll get another, 10 or 15 at halftime too.
It's all right, Costello got the header. Kerber trying to get positioning against Nesbeth. Segala on it. Segala shooting, it's blocked. From the edge of the box, wide for Andy Barth. Barth to her left foot, comes across. A lot of Seminoles defenders there. Good start to the sequence though by Sydney Segala, the freshman. Lowenberg trying to find Sam Smith to run underneath it. Payne there as well. Smith knocks it off for the corner.
Gets a corner out of that one. It's a great play. Segala with a great opportunity here. Just gets her foot on it there. Tries to get a shot off. It is blocked. There were 4 or 5 Seminoles in the box there defending. So they know how to defend as well. Like you said earlier in the show, they've only let up 2 goals this whole year.
Ava Omani will take the corner kick for Boston College, swinging off the left foot. Trying to find a header somewhere. Lowenberg came flying in. Remember, she scored a header off a corner kick in the last game against Army West Point. By the way, Laura Govin back in for Boston College because she was out just getting taped up. They allowed the Eagles to sub Carlton in, and now they can switch out. So different situation, just taping up some of the equipment. So it is Govin back in for BC. Plays it towards the box. Sam Agresti, but the whistle came out first on Michaela Agresti. Number 23 for BC, called for the foul.
Good opportunity, though. Get the ball into the box. There's a little bit more pressure on Florida State now. Header, try to get it in the mix there. Agresti goes up. And nothing came of it. But, this is something that, mentally, this is what BC needs. They need to move the ball into the box, let the Florida State defend a little bit more.
Sam Smith, hard work on the sideline against Payne, got possession back. Here is Kerber. Good hard pass for Smith. Kept that in on the sideline for Sigala. Back for Smith, left-footed shot looking for Barth. It's in the box, trying to get footing on it. Barth chips it on the line. Did it go? Barth celebrating like it went across, but the ruling appears to be no goal. It was a brilliant chance that developed, and then Barth right on the doorstep trying to chip it over Christina Roque, and apparently did not cross the line and appears to be the correct ruling.
Yes, and I think the sideline official did see that. Obviously did not call the goal. I think it's the right call. It was very close, but the whole ball has to go over the line. It did not. Fantastic defensive play by Florida State. But at the same time, and a fantastic opportunity for Boston College. That's what they need. They need to keep putting the pressure on, get those opportunities, and something may happen.
And that one, it felt like not just the end opportunity, but the crispness of the passing leading up to it was the best sequence for BC so far.
Yeah, and it started with Sam Smith on the left side here. She got the cross off.
Here's the bid again. Watch as it settles for Barth and just tries to go left foot, and it's a nice job by Roque to just get a piece and then eventually cleared out. We said they're difficult to score against.
Absolutely. 2 goals given up all year, that's rare.
That's the amazing thing about when you look at Florida State. And again, you could probably make an argument, should they have been the #1 team in the country? Had they not been the defending national champs, would they been in the preseason? Maybe, maybe not. How much do those rankings matter? That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
But the fact that they were, and then they haven't lost, they've only allowed 2 goals, and today the number next to FSU is 12,
right,
doesn't quite seem to add up, and you wonder if that is some level of bulletin board material for Brian Penske, for a team that certainly doesn't need all that much of it in the national championship game each of the last 2 seasons and the winners last year. Seminoles have not lost since the final game of the regular season a year ago. Over the top, chance to run it down. Garcia, and a corner kick coming up for Florida State. Knocked that off of Costello. Seminoles will sub here as well. Caitlin Zippe, the redshirt sophomore from Florida, will check into the game for Echegini.
Another set piece here, 10 minutes left. You do not want to give up a 3rd goal for obvious reasons.
This is the 5th corner for Florida State of the first half. Michaela Agresti was there. And out for Sigala. EY tracked it down though. There's the speed of Sigala, maybe the fastest player on the Eagles roster. EY did a nice job to cut the angle effectively. Nesbitt over the top. Bissell, it was a touch far. He still got behind it and then knocks it off Omani for another corner kick.
Yep, getting closer to the end line there again. Defensive play to stop the progression of that movement forward, but at the same time, there you go, another corner kick, another set piece.
Corner number 6. Tried to go wider. Lowenberg got a touch. EY then playing it in. Garcia settles, shooting. Good save, Villebrandt.
Villebrandt in the right place at the right time. You know, Florida State's going to take these shots every single time they're in the box. You know, a quick move like that, and defender was out of position. And luckily, Villebrandt was there to make the save.
Almani chasing it down. Believe that got deflected by Bissell. To the center. Shot came in, it was blocked by Costello. And here is Smith. Head up with Segala in front. Cuts off the right foot. Touch of miscommunication there. And taken back the other way by Florida State.
Quick counterattack.
Yep, over for Garcia. She's had some chances on that side. Cuts right foot. Another chance and couldn't get the A1 effort on it.
It's the challenge that BC is facing right now, is that, you know, once they turn this ball over, Florida State is running at full speed the other end, try to get something going on the offensive end.
Here's Barth, try to get it over for Sam Smith. Whistle here, and this will go against Florida State. They're going to say it came up and hit up high near the hand of Maria Alagoa. Our referee, Nicole Green, making the signal, so the Eagles will have a great opportunity here.
A little bit of a challenge there. Foul called. Florida State wondering what happened, but this is a dangerous set piece spot right here.
Govin and Omani for Boston College. Those have been the two who have taken the set pieces for BC all year. Omani on the right, Govin on the left. Omani, too tall. Florida State will sub once again. Amelia Horton will come into the game for the Seminoles.
Christina Roca in goal for Florida State hasn't had to deal with the sun, just like Villebrandt has. So that, I mean, that's not an excuse, but that is definitely a factor. It's right in Villebrandt's eyes. I mean, she's shielding her face right now.
And that, of course, will switch once we get to the second half in 5 minutes and 19 seconds.
So it's directly in her eyes right now. You wonder if that was a factor in the 2 goals scored so far.
That one knocked off of Kerber and ended up finding Zippe on a good run. There's a strong play by the Eagles center back, Michaela Agresti.
Yeah, Agresti making a nice play, and her sister unable to get that ball right there to break out at midfield, but here you go. That's a great defensive play. She pushed it forward, and then her sister was trying to get it at the end there, but did not happen. But that's the calmness that Boston College needs to take advantage of, is just, you know, settle the ball, stay calm, let the ball do the work.
Shots are 9-4 in favor of Florida State, 6-1 in terms of shots on goal for the Seminoles. Villebrandt's been credited with 4 saves. And a 2-0 lead, both goes Oni Echegini in the 2nd minute and the 11th minute. Ball comes across. Agresti got tied up. Ends up being forced out. Zippe and Agresti on this opportunity in the box.
Always dangerous in the box. No call there, which is probably the right the right decision by the referee. But again, another set piece. I sound like a broken record here, but another corner kick.
7th one of the first half for Florida State. Lower entry here. Sam Smith, first head on it for BC. And Michaela Agresti knocks it out.
Oh, that's good pressure.
I always say this towards the end of a half here, and especially in a game like this, but final 3:15 here. If Boston College can weather it and maybe even build some momentum out of it, that can be really important for their chances to try and come back. Though here the whistle is going to come out against Lowenberg.
Yeah, that was a hard tackle.
Definitely she will get a card.
Yeah, yellow card.
Maria Alagoa was down. Lowenberg getting the start at the center back spot today. Michaela Agresti's been the steady one back there. We've seen a couple of different players at the other center back spot. Lowenberg today, and a touch too hard on the tackle.
Let's look at it closely here. She did, she almost got the ball. She did, she didn't, a little bit late on the ball, but a lot of times, a player will slide tackle like that. They'll get the ball first, and the opponent will fall over the ball, and it looks like they're getting all leg, but they're not. They're getting the ball, and then it's just part of the leg. That time, I think it was, less ball. So that's the reason for the foul and the yellow card.
Emma Bissell, closest to it for Florida State. 3:04 remaining in the first half. Bissell delivering one straight on. Wait,
that was a bit deceiving.
The point of the post and the crossbar.
Didn't expect that one. I don't think anyone expected that. It was a great shot.
It was almost similar to the goal that Echegini scored, where it looked like a cross and then went in.
And there's virtually no reaction. Everyone's just kind of like, oh, okay, there's a shot. And you know what? It hit the crossbar. That was almost a beautiful goal. Yeah, everyone's just kind of like, okay, well, let's keep playing, which is good, but I don't think anyone expected it to be that good of a shot.
Cleared out to the near side. 2:20 remaining first half. 10-4 shots for Florida State, as we said. 6-1 in terms of shots on goal. And the Seminoles with the 2-0 lead. The defending national champions in the first game of the ACC schedule. Barth got it back from Govin. Well defended, though, by the Seminoles. Heather Gilchrist, one of the few for Florida State who's been in this whole half on the back line, made the play for FSU. Kerber out wide for Costello. Here is Andy Barth trying to get around again. Does manage to get it towards the box, but Roque quickly on it. Barth, who started the year as one of Jason Lowe's starters on that right wing, but he's more and more brought her off the bench recently. It's kind of that speed spark at the end of the first half, and then usually stays out there to start the second half. And she's really thrived in that role over the last few games. 2 goals and an assist so far in the season for Barth, and nearly had a third.
I actually think Barth is one of the main factors in this game. She's actually been part of those offensive chances that BC's had. And if she can do some more on that right side, perhaps serve the ball in a dangerous situation, BC will have some good opportunities.
Kate Goggins just into the game for BC. Knocked off of her with 30 seconds remaining here in the first half. So one more throw for Florida State, and that should just about do it for half number 1. And the Seminoles flexing their muscle certainly early in the game. A little bit more evenly matched as the half went on. But it will be a 2-0 Florida State lead over Boston College at the end of one half of play here in Newton. So Florida State, again, 10-4 in shots, 6-1 shots on goal in favor.
They're going to take advantage of those. They haven't scored on it yet. They actually had one that was called back, but the more corners you get, the more set pieces you get. A team like Florida State's going to take advantage of that at some point. So Boston College just has to be really careful with that.
So if you're Jason Lowe now talking with your group, how do you as a coach say, okay, we can talk about that first 15 minutes tomorrow. How do we gain off that last 15 minutes right now and continue that into the second half?
Well, I think Coach Penske from Florida State just touched on it. He said, Boston College had the momentum in those last 15 minutes, and they were getting things done. They were, moving the ball pretty well. They had a few opportunities. So I think that's, Coach Lowe just needs to kind of reiterate that in the locker room. Let the players know, listen, hey, we got something going here. Last 15 minutes were good. Now the sun's going to be in the keeper's eyes. Let's see what we can do in the second half.
And Coach Penske also kind of alluded to it. The more settled game is going to favor Florida State. The more frantic game has a chance to help Boston College.
Yeah, Florida State wants to play a controlled game. BC needs to kind of just, disrupt that a little bit. And they started to do that in the end of the second half, and it worked a little bit. They just couldn't put it in.
Nice job there by Barth to get back into the play and take it away from Echegini.
Florida State, doing a good job of switching the field there. This is what they're really good at. There's a couple of nice through balls. Here's another opportunity in the box.
Yeah, coming back center, they were trying to get it to Niswanger. Michaela Agresti forcing it forward all the way out for BC. So basically all the starters back in here for Florida State with Olsen over the top. Echegini couldn't quite get on top of that one. Back for EY. Andy Barth stays in there for Boston College coming out of the halftime break. We mentioned as a sub. Segala also stays in there. Here's a header try, and that's wide of the net as Olsen was in there. Let's watch the defense here from BC.
Yeah, so again, in the box, Florida State, nice defensive play. And, you know, Agresti was right there at the right place at the right time. But then, again, they're serving into the box again. And, unfortunately for Florida State, they didn't score. But, BC's lucky on that one. That's two quick quality chances for Florida State.
Echegini for Niswanger, got room, good save, Philibrandt. Corner coming up, but a clean stop is save number 5 for Vivka Philibrandt.
Echegini with a nice pass right there. And a, fairly easy save. It was pretty much right at her. But again, they're putting the pressure on early, just like they did in the first half.
Let's start to the half and the press. Like we talked about for the Seminoles. This is corner kick number 8 for Florida State. Niswanger goes low. Govan got a touch on it and ends up out for Segala. Has a chance to run it down. Sydney Segala, the freshman, using her speed, but EY comes back in to take it away.
And she made the turn into her defender. That's, I understand her trying to do that, but you know what? Against a great defense like Florida State, it's not going to work. You need to either bring the ball back. She had 2 players moving forward to help her out. I get it. She's trying to move forward and take defenders on, but when you turn into the defender like that against Florida State, it's more often than not, it's not going to work. You need to protect the ball a bit.
Throw-in coming up here for the Seminoles. Segala is someone who ran track later in her high school career in Connecticut and managed to be a Gatorade Track Athlete of the Year in Connecticut, basically only running as an upperclassman, showing off her speed.
Well, I was going to say, in the first half, she was certainly one of the bright spots that Boston College had. She was getting forward, and they were getting her the ball, and with her speed, like you said, she can be a dangerous threat up top.
Here is Brown working against Omani. Came back on the pass to the edge of the box. Riley Kerber was there, and here was another bright spot of the first half for BC, Andy Barth. So both Eagles subs on the wings. Ball is out. The throw coming up. There is Christina Roque. Gets the half into the sun as she looks in this second stanza from Newton. Played over for Heather Payne. Pass comes to the middle, Niswanger. Sophia Lowenberg is there, but the play was made by Michaela Agresti. So for Lowenberg, 4th start of the season, but her first at center back next to Michaela Agresti. BC's seen Ragna Magnusdottir and Claire Mency have also gotten starts at the center back spot as Jason Lowe figuring out still that position in this point of the season. It's been a 2-0 game since the 11th minute. We remain 2-0 at this point. And as you said, it's not 1-0, but as soccer coaches like to say, this is the most dangerous lead. And you do feel a little bit here, even at 2, the longer you let the team hang around if you're Florida State, the chance that all of a sudden one goes by and then this turns into a different scenario.
I definitely agree with that. The problem is BC needs to control the ball at this point moving forward. And right now, Florida State is not allowing them to do that. Florida State is continuing to pressure.
Yeah, and as we said, Florida State has basically outpossessed their opponents, averaging 65% possession for the season. And then again, yes, the Eagles only need 2, but Florida State's only allowed 2 goals all season.
You certainly are correct, though. The longer it goes, the more opportunities and chances that Boston College will have, because it is, 2-0 is a tough lead to have. But again, they need to really play their own game and put the pressure on, like right here. Okay, so they're letting Florida State move the ball a little bit too much.
Played over the top. Olsen, chance to run it down against Lowenberg. Played back for Agresti. Sigala. There is Omani throwing it over.
And that's good. That's good defending.
Riley Kerber comes away. Here is Sigala.
Good defending, and now they want to switch the field, and that's the way to do it. Tough couple passes there, though, but that was the right idea. Good defending on one side. Head up, switch the ball to the opposite side of the field, and see what happens.
Ball is out, and an opportunity coming up here for the Eagles. So with 36 minutes remaining here in the second half, and an opportunity for Laura Govid on what will be the second corner kick of the game for BC. Trailing 2-0 to Florida State. Govid goes low, but a hard ball. Trying to find Michaela Agresti on the header. Here's Omani chipping it on. Richards trying to get positioning, got tied up. That was well defended there by Florida State. I believe it was Gilchrist who prevented Richards from getting to the spot here.
Yeah, that was a good battle, absolutely. Gilchrist battling it with Richards there in the box. Good shoulder-to-shoulder action. But that's what you need, Ella Richards, she's aggressive, she knows how to score. She's done it in the past, and she gets the ball at her feet. Yeah, she's going to have a good opportunity to score at some point.
Here's a chance. Echegini scores! A hat trick for Oni Echegini. It is 3-0 Florida State.
Well, what can you say? I mean, on that left side, she's been open too much, I think, and that counterattack is just what really put a thorn in Boston College's side here. They moved the ball so nicely, they kept moving it, and there's the nice through ball, and there's Echegini right there, pretty much wide open, and you need to anticipate her coming in on that left side. That's where she's been scoring her goals all day.
So how about that? The first career hat trick for Oni Echegini, the transfer from Mississippi State. And that is quite a response from Florida State. It is a 55th minute goal. So goals in the 2nd minute, 11th minute, and 55th minute. And the Seminoles now can take a deep breath off of that 2-0 score that we've talked about and out to the 3-0 lead.
I think the frustrating piece to all this too is BC was doing well, and this, they were putting some pressure on. They were actually moving the ball fairly well. They were switching the field, but a couple of passes were just a little off, and it resulted in a Florida State throw-in or a repossession of Florida State getting the ball. So little things like that, just changed the last couple of minutes, and before you know it, Florida State's coming down the other end of the field, and boom, it's 3-0.
Richards trying to get in position. Over for Sam Agresti. Was trying to lead Andy Barth, but Ran Iwe will just allow that ball to trickle over the end line. Again, remember that third goal, as we talked about, the counterattack right off a corner kick for BC that the Seminoles are able to convert down the other ends. There is Robbins, got knocked down, but they play on here with Kerber. Near side, Sarai Costello. A sophomore defender from Canton, Mass. Andy Barth throws one on. It's a little bit out of reach of Richards and ends up in on Roque. And this is where that experience that we talked about a little bit earlier for Florida State, so much experience in these moments, how to put a game like this away.
Absolutely, and it's the composure that they have, and to be honest with you, it's the confidence they have. I mean, they're out there, they are expecting to win every game, and you can see it in their attitude and how they play, and the calmness when they have the ball. Each player has, obviously excellent skills, and the BC players do as well. A lot of this is a mental game. They have that confidence, and it bodes well when you're up 1 or 2-0. You're just going to build on that and score more.
Robbins for Echegini. Pass comes across. Nice swanger is just too high.
Florida State moving it down the left side here. Quick cross, running onto the ball, and defended okay. But, you can't allow players to move into the box that easily and get shots off that on the one-time touch.
So that'll be corner kick for Florida State. That one off the post and
that's a goal.
In.
Yep.
Clean off the corner, off the back post. That's Niswanger's third goal of the season, and it's 4-0 Florida State.
I think everyone was a little bit in shock there, Eric.
Absolutely.
It was like, just like the first goal when it happened so quickly. That one was like, okay. There was a player on the far post. Robbins was there waiting, but it curved in just enough and hit the post.
And then it hits off the arm, the left arm Costello. Of Sarai Costello.
Yeah, yep. So Costello was there. Unfortunately, it went off her, and no one really expected that. So there was someone on the far post, including Costello, trying to defend. But when it goes off the post, you can't dictate where it's going to go because of the round, circumference of the post. Sometimes the ball can ricochet one way or another. Sure enough, off of Costello and into the goal. No one really expected that at all, obviously.
So the Seminoles now, who just continue their torrid offensive pace, this is now after 3 consecutive games of 5-0 victories. It's now a 4-0 lead. There's still a half hour to go here in this second half. Lowenberg jumps up a little bit here. The Eagles subbed in Emma Badger, a first-year defender who's now going to slot into the center back role next to Michaela Agresti, which allows Lowenberg to push up into a little bit more of a center defensive mid role. And Sam Smith also checked back into the game for Boston College, replacing Ella Richards.
Coach Penske getting a little talking to here, I think. Not happy with the call. And I sort of understand. I mean, there was a little bit of pulling and tugging there, and I believe Barth, you know, sort of did the same thing, but she got the foul was called on Florida State before that happened. So I think Coach Penske was just looking at, you know, both players going at it. It didn't go his way, so he's had a few words with the official, but free kick for Boston College.
Laura Gobin will take the set piece. That's over the top for Omani, all the way out for Sam Smith. And now it's cleared all the way back down. So Emma Badger now is appearing in her third game of the season for BC. Got a start against Army West Point in the back line. The freshman from Wells, Maine. Now, credit to Florida State for, you know, exactly what Brian Penske said. Obviously was thrilled with the start, but then certainly momentum was on the side of Boston College, and there are those little moments sometimes. Again, the third FSU goal came right off a counterattack off the corner kick for BC, and they have certainly re-exerted their will in the first 15 minutes of this second half, similarly to how they did so in the first 15 minutes of the first half.
No, I think they started the second half exactly how they started the first half, and you're right. You put that pressure on. BC was doing their best, that they, you know, trying to hold them as best they could, defend as well as they can, but before you know it, a counterattack is just so potent, and you don't always expect it, and Florida State just has that talent to move the ball so quickly. They moved it from one side of the field to the other, and you know, like I said, before you know it, it's 3-0, and then it's 4-0.
Segala couldn't quite get to it. Cleared back by EY onto Roque. Heather Payne asked for Niswanger. Near side for Robbins. Another chance for Echegini. Got to the left foot, comes across, deflected. Oh boy, that was in the legs of Villabrandt. They did a nice job to find it. Echegini with another opportunity.
Echegini on the far side, on the left side I should say, gets to the end line, quick cross. She's not just a goal scorer either. That could have easily been an assist for her. But that's how dangerous she is on the left side. They get the ball to her feet on this side, and it's very hard to defend because she has the speed, she has the technical ability with her feet, and she doesn't always shoot the ball. She, you know, comes up with opportunities for her teammates as well, who are running in on the box, which we've seen a few times already.
Seminoles have outshot the Eagles 7-0 in this second half. It's 17-4 for the game. Barth for Segala, shooting just over the bar.
And that's a good opportunity for Segala.
So a bunch of subs here for BC as we look at the Segala chance.
And there's some good pressure there. You see Barth, and then Segala gets the quick shot off. So, you know, for my money, Barth and Segala have been the real bright spots for BC today. They've created opportunities for the team.
So Jason Lowe's really going to change a lot out here. First of all, Vivka Villabrandt is out. Even a Haas, who did start last time out against Army West Point, will come into the game. And play the rest of the game at keeper. The Eagles also subbed out Michaela Agresti, almost never comes out of a game. And Regna Magnusdottir, who did not play last time out and had been a starting center back early in the year, she is back in. So now it's Badger and Magnusdottir on the back line. Claire Mency also checks into the game for BC. So it's actually Mency who's in the other center back role, and Magnusdottir playing in a right back spot here. Settled down, right back on it, Robbins, and missed the net wide right.
Number of subs coming in for Florida State as well. I think both coaches are maybe resigned to the fact that this is probably going to be a Florida State win as the result with a 4-0 lead. So you get some players in there that can get experience, top quality ACC experience against a quality opponent, and even for Florida State. I mean, BC's, you know, they have some depth. They have some great players out there. So it's not like you're playing against a high school team. You're playing against a good team. It's just that it's a lopsided score right now.
Regna Magnusdottir, first ACC appearance, as it is for a number of the folks who just checked into the game. So goal kick coming up here for Nahas. Forced right back in. Great chance out in front. Olsen got around. Nahas did enough, though, to take away the angle. Does set up a corner kick as Mency can only just knock it out. But a nice job by Nahas to do enough on what could have been a clean break.
I think I liked, as frustrating as that is she got, shot off. There were 3 or 4 defenders getting back there in the goal. So they knew to get back. They were in the right place at the right time, and they prevented a goal. So that's a positive sign for Boston College to get back on defense.
So corner kick here for Florida State. Sam Smith got a piece of it.
That was a handball, yep.
Remember, it is free subbing in the second half, so these are not like these are permanent subs. Should anything change. So the Eagles will get a chance to start with it. 23 minutes remaining, 4-0 lead for Florida State. This is going to be the most difficult task, but also arguably the most important task of the season for Boston College. We showed you earlier what this ACC schedule is starting with for the Eagles. Not just the defending national champs, but, and this is national ranking, number 3 Duke, number 2 North Carolina, both on the road, home for number 6 Notre Dame. That's the next 3 games. So certainly there are things to take out of this game, hopefully to play forward. But after that, the Eagles will play a number of ACC teams picked right around where they were in the ACC preseason poll, the likes of Syracuse, Louisville, Pitt, Miami. Next, if you can somehow weather the first 4-game stretch, find your footing, take a couple of those games, if not most of those games, there is still going to be an opportunity to get into the ACC tournament. So how do you deal with all these incredibly difficult opponents, but then also keep your poise enough to go into that crucial stretch against some teams that you feel like you can grab some wins against and maybe even steal one of these first couple of games?
Well, I think you really have to take the positives away from today. And as difficult as that may seem, and I'm sure Coach Lowe is not thinking of any positives right now, but as Coach Penske from Florida State mentioned, the last 15 minutes of the first half, BC was looking really good. They were pressing, they were aggressive. They had almost had a goal. It almost went over the line. That would have been a 2-1 game, I think, at the time. And so there were a lot of positives to take from that. I think you have to sort of look at that and build upon that and try to get that going for more than 15 minutes per game. And you build on that and you see what happens in the next game. You take the positives, you forget the negatives, although you do learn from the negatives. There's some things to be done, obviously, but BC will be fine. They'll be fine in the ACC, I think.
It's still loose. Nahas couldn't squeeze it. Kept alive towards the edge of the box. And then finally, Jessica Carlton does a nice job, gets it out of harm's way for the moment. Now pushing back in, Garcia plays the pass over for Alagoa and then taken away by Riley Kerber.
And even here, you see some positives. Some great, shielding of the ball. I mean, Lowenberg's doing well out there. She's doing her best, and the back line is preventing Florida State from scoring again. I mean, the biggest threat today has been Echegini, with 3 goals on the left side. So, you focus on that and you shut her down a little bit. Maybe it's a 2-0 game. Maybe it's a 1-0 game. If it's hard to say, but today it was all about her. And if you could shut her down the rest of the way here, they're going to come up with some positive things, I think, in the last 20 minutes here.
Another sub for the Eagles. Kate Goggins will come into the game for BC, replacing Sam Smith. On the near side for Garcia, knocked out by Magnusdottir. Seminoles certainly have a difficult ACC stretch of their own. Again, I mean, when you play in this league, it's going to happen. The Eagles actually don't play Virginia this year. Florida State will get a stretch in October where they'll play at number 7 Virginia, at number 6 Notre Dame, home for number 3 Duke, and home for number 2 North Carolina, 4 in a row. And of course, the fascinating thing about the ACC, and this tells you that I think that you have 5 teams at the top who could win a national championship, and who knows what order to put them in. Florida State, who was picked number 1 in the national preseason poll, was picked 4th in the ACC coaches preseason poll.
Which is very interesting, yes.
Duke was picked as the top team in the ACC. So, I mean, if that doesn't spell, who knows, at top 4, I don't know what does. This is what's on the horizon for Florida State.
Yeah, and it's the same with the men's side as well. I mean, clearly the ACC is the best soccer conference in the country for both the men and the women. So, you may be preseason ranked number 1 in the nation, but you may not be number 1 in the ACC for whatever reason based on the coaches poll.
Here's how we've gotten here. Florida State with just an incredible effort from Oni Echegini, the hat trick to give the Seminoles the 3-0 lead. First career hat trick, and then this one to add insult to injury off the corner kick from Jenna Neiswanger. And the Seminoles with the 4-0 lead. Florida State continuing to develop. And that ball is out. And this will go back the other way.
Again, these are the positives you want to take out of this. Good defending. Yeah, some of these players, Alicia Morin, who's in right now, putting a little pressure on, trying to get some valuable minutes. This is an opportunity for a lot of players to show what they can do out there against a top-ranked team.
Seminoles trying to move to 5-0-2 and run their unbeaten streak to 16 consecutive games, and it would be 4 consecutive wins this season. I think that most importantly, and again, the fact that, as we've talked about, 5-0, 5-0, 5-0, and now 4-0 in this particular game. You can't say that the defending national champs are somehow flying under the radar, because, I mean, they're not. They haven't lost to the defending champs, but it almost feels like that to a small degree nationally, because of how much turnover there has been here, and it is a different-looking team with a brand-new coaching staff, which almost never happens for a team that's just won the national championship, but that's the case. But this is certainly a team that has a chance to compete for a title once again this year.
Well, you lose 13 players from your national championship squad, and then you score what just turned out to be the 5th goal, which means 20 goals in the last 4 games.
Yep, it deflects in. It's 5-0 Florida State for the 4th consecutive game.
That stat alone is impressive. And so, like you'd mentioned, flying under the radar, they're not going to be flying under the radar anymore after this, I don't think.
Sophia Wynn, believe will get credit for the goal that hit off of Omani. So Wynn with her first career goal for the freshman from Pensacola, Florida. And the 75th minute to give the Seminoles a 5-0 lead.
And that's unfortunate. You know, that's just the way it's been going for BC all day. It's just one of those things. There's not a lot you can do.
So coming up on 15 minutes remaining here in this second half. Seminoles again, 3 from Etchegini, 1 from Niswanger, and now Wynn with the 75th minute goal. And by the way, that just adds another goal scorer. We've talked about just how many players have scored goals this season for Florida State. It's the 11th different player already to score a goal for the Seminoles this year, and 7 have at least 2.
Exactly. And we talked about that in the pregame, and you know, that's why it's very difficult to defend against so many top quality players that have the ability to score and have scored. You know, it's spreading the wealth. It's not just 1 or 2 players.
That one popped up high and goes off the hand of Wynn. So Boston College will get possession. Ava McNeil is about to check into the game for BC. Sydney Moore just came into the game for Boston College, the senior. Had the honor of wearing the number 19 jersey as BC women's soccer hosted its first red bandana game in honor of Wells Crowther on the anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks. Something, of course, famously done by the Boston College football team through the years, and it worked out playing Army West Point on September 11th on the anniversary, and Jason Lowe decided to have a game of their own for women's soccer, and Moore got the honor of wearing the number 19, very similar to what the women's lacrosse team does here with Wells Crowther, who was a former lacrosse player at Boston College, so somebody gets the honor of wearing number 19 every year, and that was Moore for the women's soccer team this year. So McNeil is now in for BC. Kenneth Thomas about to come in for the Eagles. So certainly everybody getting a lot of ACC minutes and reps here down the end. Seminoles will go home for their next 2 conference games before 3 in a row on the road in the ACC. There is Alicia Morin, who's into the game for the first time for the Eagles as well. It's always a little different. The women play basically their full non-conference schedule and then get into ACC play, which is different than their male counterparts in the ACC, as that shot is stopped by Nahas, who will basically go midweek non-conference, weekend conference game all the way through in the ACC. Second game of our doubleheader coming up. Stay with us. Boston College and Louisville. ACC men's soccer scheduled to be a 7 o'clock kick. We'll see about where that falls. It should be pretty close. This game having 13 minutes remaining in it. Right here on ACC Network Extra. Claire Mency, who Jason Lowe told us can hit a ball as hard as just about anyone he's seen, and whacked that one down, and there was a collision there on the Florida State side with Roque and Gilchrist getting tied up, with Maureen coming in for BC, and it was actually Morin who got caught with Roque.
Yeah, I think Morin knocked her over, and Nesbitt ended up getting a yellow card.
And it's actually Morin who's been given the yellow for BC.
Oh, was it? Okay, yep.
A grad student from Montreal, Quebec.
The official was looking at Nesbitt with the card in her hand.
It's tough for everybody to see.
Well, you never know what's going on as far as communication goes, too, because you can get a card for not necessarily a hard tackle, but some verbal abuse, as we know.
So it'll be a free kick to restart here for Roquet as the Seminoles up 5-0, the number 12 team in the country. Looking for a 4th consecutive win and a 16th consecutive game without a regular season loss. And I think that's the thing with this group that, you know, we've talked about the offense now, and it's 20 goals in 4 games, which certainly stands out, but it is still just 2 goals allowed. And the spot where the turnover beyond the coaching staff, I guess, which maybe pops out the most, but the spot where there was the most players who had left or had to be replaced was on that back line. Not in goal, where the Seminoles brought back maybe one of the best keepers in the country, maybe 2 of the best keepers in the country, frankly, but on that back line. So the fact that they've only allowed 2 at this point of the year, that may be the most impressive thing of anything the Seminoles have accomplished to this point.
Absolutely, and again, we did mention it in the pregame, but we emphasized a little bit more about how many goals they've scored. Those 2 goals against, you know, one of the top in the, you know, I think they're ranked, you know, 10th in the country for goals against average, something like that. I mean, that alone is incredibly impressive because you win championships with great defense. Okay, you could, you know, it doesn't matter if it's a 5-0 game or a 1-0 game. If you win the game, you didn't get scored on. That's how you win championships. And I think, you know, defensively, Florida State, if they can keep this up, you know, they're going to be so tough to beat. And so tough to score on, to be honest.
Alagoa kept forcing that forward. It ends up with Garcia. Got behind Nahas, but not far enough. As Ava Nahas, the sophomore from Atlanta, is able to fall on it. Throw-in coming up from Magnusdotter. Another sub here, Kenneth Thomas, who had been waiting on the side for a little bit, is back in. Florida State also bringing in Melina DeCarey from Montreal into the game for the first time today and the 4th time this season. .9:30 remaining in a 5-0 Seminoles lead. Their first-year head coach, Brian Penske.
Still aggressive defense by Florida State. You're pressing right up every time BC gets the ball.
Another whistle here, and possession will go back to Boston College. Again, even from this stage of the pitch, you have to watch out for Claire Mency, who can get this on goal if she wants. Grad transfer in from Bucknell after a wonderful season in the Patriot League last year. Morin's going to get called there, trying to get position and extending out on the armbar.
A little push there by Morin, trying to get some space. Menzie with a long serve, but sometimes you're better off driving that ball into the box.
Couple more subs here. Jordan Takis, the sophomore from North Smithfield, Rhode Island, who was promoted from the Boston College club team, makes her first appearance for the Eagles. And for Florida State, Olivia Lebdowie, first year from Panama City, comes into the game for the Seminoles, replacing Olsen. Sapienza wide for McNeil. Pass a little bit short, coming back and taken away by the Seminoles. Ava McNeil from down the road in Roslindale, Mass. Neighborhood in Boston. Given right back, great chance, they add another. Season high 6 goals for the Seminoles, whose offense have certainly come to life. Caitlin Zippe with the first goal of her career. Has missed a bunch of time due to injury, missed the tournament as a freshman despite being an all-ACC freshman team selection. It's got to be a great feeling for her as she adds a 6th goal to the tally for Florida State.
And looking at that replay, though, I feel like, and even when it happened live, I felt like, okay, if the ball's getting towards the top of the 18, you know, it looked like there were plenty of defenders there to clear it, and they got a foot on it. But, you know, it was just an example of why it's going Florida State's way all day. It was, you know, it's almost unlucky for BC every time. One little touch, and they could have cleared it. Unfortunately, ended up on the feet of Zippe, and, you know, she puts it in. So I almost feel like that was a bad luck situation more than anything, because the defenders were there. They just couldn't control it, and they could not clear it quick enough.
So a 6-0 lead for Florida State. Goggins trying to get position. That is knocked out off of Goggins. So it'll be Seminoles ball with under 6 minutes remaining here in the second half. As we said, Florida State will host Louisville and number 24 Clemson next week, before a road match against Miami, and then that stretch that we talked about: Virginia, Notre Dame, Duke, North Carolina. And that stretch will tell you a lot about the prospects for the Seminoles and a chance to defend as national champions. This is the 4th game in a row, as we've said. They've scored at least 5. The 2 ties were 0-0 and 1-1. But other than that, 3 against Georgia, 5-5, 5, and 6. On the scoring totals for a Seminoles team that came in 11th nationally in goals per game, and certainly are going to go up in that category after tonight. This is out in front for Garcia, but the flag was up. Eagles, as we said, their difficult stretch will continue at Duke, at North Carolina, before coming home against Notre Dame on Thursday the 29th. That's a 6 o'clock start. We'll have for you on ACC Network. 4 minutes remaining here in Newton, in a 6-0 lead for Florida State.
So I think this is where you want to work hard. There's obviously less than 4 minutes left now. You want to work hard if you can get possession, maybe switch the field, try to work on a couple of things, getting some good touches in, kind of finish on as best of a positive note as you can for Boston College. There's a number of players out there that haven't seen a whole lot of time so far this season, and this is a great experience for them.
And certainly not the desired outcome, but again, the way the schedule works, you got to get right back on the horn against, by the way, 3 teams that are ranked higher than Florida State in the national poll. That ball was deflected, so the Eagles will get a late corner kick here with 3 minutes remaining in the second half. There's another interesting thing today. I mean, we talked about the corner kicks quite a bit in the first half. It's going to end up 10-3. This will be the 3rd corner kick for BC. That's actually a reverse from what we've seen in a lot of games for the Eagles, who were out cornering their opponents basically 7-4 on average most games this year.
Right. Yeah, they're not used to it.
Comes to the back of the box for Goggins. Couldn't get a shot away. Then it was to Geese. Had the momentary opportunity. Throw in for Thomas. Gives way. And cleared out with 2:15 remaining here from Newton.
And I think what you need to wonder too, Eric, is Florida State that good, or was BC just having that horrible of a day? And I don't think they had that horrible of a day. I mean, I think there were some definite positives to take out of this. Coach Lowe did mention, you can't play 1 and 2 touches against such a quality team like that, like they did in the first half, and they got off on the wrong foot in that respect. But is Florida State that good? I mean, it seems like they are. BC's not a bad team, though. They will hold their own in the ACC.
I mean, if you just look at some of the ways that the Seminoles scored, I mean, the 4th goal off the quarter kick is a little bit of it's just a perfect angle. The first goal that Echegini scored is, again, a perfect shot, as we talked about, just tucked inside the post on the far side. Villebrandt still, again, the combination of Villebrandt and Haas are going to get credit for 8 saves tonight. So, hard one to take the positives out when you see the score line, certainly, but a lot of just elite level plays by the defending national champions, the 2 years in a row in the national championship game, by the way, 2 years in a row, by the way, in penalty kicks in the national championship game, and the first career hat trick for Oni Echegini.
And what I keep thinking about is Echegini on the left side. I mean, these Boston College defenders are going to see that nightmare all week long. Echegini on the left side. Echegini on the left side. Each time she was on the left side and scored. And so they need to close that down. They need to work on that in practice. I mean, obviously she's a great player, but they should not have given her that much space. And she punished them for it.
Final seconds will run off on this one. It is 21 goals over the last 4 games for the Florida State Seminoles, who come to Newton and will take a 6-0 victory home to Tallahassee, as the Seminoles, the defending national champions, playing like it tonight.